When my friends would tell me they were doing yoga, I would try to convince them not to do yoga. And I've had a bunch of mentors tell me why yoga wasn't beneficial. And everyone is entitled to do what they want to do. They have their own freedom to do what they want to do, what they think is right, and I just choose not to do yoga. I got something spiritual I thought yoga could never give me, and I didn't like it. I never thought that through yoga I would have a spiritual experience. I wouldn't have believed it, and now that I've gone through it, that's not what I was trying to get from it. I was trying to get physically fit, my body to be proportioned. But hey, I was a teenager. What would I know about body shape and image? I was still growing at the time. Other than what I read in teen magazines and women fitness magazines, I didn't understand hormones, eating well, getting adequate sleep, drinking sufficient fluids, and a safe environment for my mental, physical well-being was necessary for my growth and development. So teach us to number our days, that we may get us a heart of wisdom. Psalm chapter 90, verse 12. Amplified Bible, Classical Edition. Teach me, God, to number my days, so I will obey, focus, and pay attention to what matters to you now. Help me not to be rigid when you are doing a new thing, something I'm not used to doing. Teach me to adapt to your ways and the circumstances at hand, and to give you praise when I've been inclined to complain and compare. The cost of social pressure. I remember my mom asking my sister's teacher for advice as to how my sister should be a better person. My sister at the time was in 6th grade and used to get anxious about grades and doing really well at school. Personally, I didn't see anything wrong with Princess. Mom just had a habit of asking everyone around her on how to raise kids. I guess it's a cultural thing to ask for advice on how to live your life and how to shape the lives of children, whether it is for their good or for harm. For 6 years, my dad and his relatives had raised I and my siblings, while Mom was in the USA. We traveled to Nigeria and London while she stayed in the USA to do university classes. And work odd jobs. Anyway, going back to Princess, a teacher had told my mom to buy teen magazines for my sister. Mind you, the teacher didn't have any children of her own, other than the ones she would teach at school. After some months with magazines, my sister's mental health deteriorated. Her self-esteem was shattered. Years later, in high school, as I went to college, my mom pulled my sister out of the Catholic high school she attended. It didn't make sense to me at the time. My parents were no longer paying tuition for me to go to Catholic school, so finances were much more abundant. It was during this time also my parents separated. My mom decided to have my sister go to another high school, a public high school. She was very shy and introvert and didn't want to go to her graduation. She became withdrawn and at times wanted to kill herself, but I and my siblings convinced her otherwise. In her episodes, she jumped out of the second floor window of my dad's apartment and went to the hospital. She was admitted to a juvenile ward for a period of time. She couldn't stay long because she had reached the age of 18 and was considered an adult. My mom then took her to St. Elizabeth's, where my sister confided in me her boyfriend raped her. I noticed she was heavily sedated with medication and did not want to take the medication because it impaired her judgment. There were so many things Princess wanted to tell me, but I didn't have the heart and stomach to hear them. I told her no, please don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. I pray God's ear would listen to everything Princess had held in her heart, everything that she has wanted to voice. May an ear be attentive to listen to what she is saying, and may God's healing come as she releases it to Him in Jesus' name. Chapter 3. The Power of Prayers. I remember when I started to practice being a Christian, praying consistently to God, reading my Bible and praying. I would cry and pray heartfelt prayers to God for my sister, Princess. Princess told me on one occasion, "Alice, I feel your prayers. I guess I need to go back to praying for my princess and my family. May God bring about good things in my family." Our wrong decisions had caused us to fall out of alignment for what God's will plan, purpose is for our lives. May He restore us as we come back to Him as a child that opens their arms for a loved one to carry them. Something I started doing after I read my friend's book she had given me, the Jabez prayer, was praying the prayer for me and my family. May the Lord bless us and enlarge our territory. May your hand of protection be with us to liberate us from harm and evil. A recent mentor of mine passed away, said my sister doesn't have a mental issue. Her environment had caused her to react and behave in ways. Had she been given an opportunity to live under different circumstances with nurturing family members, her path of life would have been very different. That was very comforting to hear. To me, she will always be Princess. I know God is protecting her as I cover her in prayers. He is always keen to inform me about my family and the things they are going through, and to be in agreement with Him, to continue praying for their protection. Blessed be God. Going back to yoga, I had books about regarding Rebecca Brown's, and one of them does mention yoga opens up a person to the demonic. I repented to God for practicing yoga. It's always good to talk about people. It's always good to talk good things about people. I'm hearing the song within me, Word of God speak, by mercy me. Yes, Word of God speak, pour down like rain, wash my eyes to see your majesty. So the winds in my life, the people, situationships, and the things I've been through will push me through further into God's glory.